Dude's got hammer pants. By retroactively right, what I mean is the element that we've gone through all this fuss of follow my orders no matter what. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Stoneface Reactions. I'm Theta, and we are back with another episode of Space Battleship Yamato, the OG from 1974. Man, I mean, hell, just the thing says here, the specific air date of this episode was December 22nd, 1974, which is ironically the last episode ended. The characters should have been on December 1st. I guess I'll bring that up in the notes I'll have in a moment. But first off, we have the board. And the board changelog, all I've really done is I added General Talon. And of course, connected him to Führer Dessler. The thing is, and I'm sorry I'm not going to have this for you people that are watching me live. This will be edited into the Patreon and the YouTube edit. I went to a specific magazine that the last episode translator things talked about, and they had an image of a bunch of different characters from Gamulus that all connected to Dessler and each other and themselves, kind of in the way that I do the board. But they didn't have any names on them, and a bunch of them looked like background characters from the command center on Gamulus that we saw that episode. So, unfortunately, just information I can't add, but, I mean, hopefully I'll have it below to show you guys so you know what I'm talking about. Otherwise, I will have a note about stuff from that specific magazine, because, again, they referenced it, and I only chose stuff from the episodes that we had actually seen, so as not to, include spoilers from that magazine. That said, though, I guess let's go into the notes, and we'll cover that then. So, October 9th was the 801st day of Dessler year 103. No clue how many days are in a Dessler year, but it's our first contact with the enemy's time system. Days must be about the same length, though, since they mentioned the warp test being on the 802nd day, which was also October 10th. So, at least the day length is consistent if the year length is not. So, something I was mocking during the episode, the Dessler minefield is relatively a horizontal affair. General Talon describes it as being set up on the outskirts of the solar system, but it's not an orb around it or anything, meaning that it should be exceptionally easy for the Yamato to just circumvent it. At the same time, something I thought of but didn't fully consider was that the Magellanic Cloud, where Iskander is located, is below the galactic plane. However, the solar system is also tilted at a 60-degree angle in respect to the galactic plane, so it would be entirely possible. Obviously, I'd have no way of knowing from any of my information given for the Yamato to be traveling along the relative plane of the solar system directly in the direction of Iskander and still be perfectly in line with reality. I realize with no graphic that's exceedingly difficult to parse. If the galaxy is here, sorry, I never say these names right when I try and pronounce them. The Magellanic Clouds. If the galaxy plane is like here, the clouds might be like right here. Hopefully that's on screen. And the solar system in the galaxy plane here is like at a 60-degree angle to it. So, conceivably, the Yamato could be traveling down the line, the horizon of the solar system in the same direction towards Iskander. And it would still totally make sense. Shima and Kodai's argument about what to do only seems to involve factors which the episode doesn't really explain why they are a problem. Kodai says there isn't enough time to change the wave motion gun, charge the wave motion gun. Except the mines aren't moving, so why isn't there enough time? The fact that the mines only seem to move in response to the Yamato is also why I argued that they could just sit back and shoot them from a distance as well. The episode seems to imply that if they don't do something right away, then something bad will happen. I guess I just don't get it. I guess they must have really increased the size of the Yamato in order to make it into a spaceship. They say there is a space of 110 meters between the mines, and Okita says they can just barely make it. As far as I've read, the Yamato was just under 40 meters wide, giving them a clearance of 35 meters on each side if they threaded the needle. Almost an entire other Yamato on either side of them. As I said, either they made the ship bigger, or Okita just has a really large margin of safety in mind for running through a minefield. Kodai's taunting of Shima in the middle of piloting through the middle of the minefield makes no sense. It's like they wanted to have a comedy bit in the middle of the tense moment of the episode. Then again, this is the episode where they had Analyzer get drunk. For as great as Yamato has been, it looks like it's starting to trip up on tone. I guess I just always thought Kato was in charge of the fighter squadron, but we haven't seen them in forever, and Kodai is constantly being put in charge whenever something comes up. So I guess the weapons officer is just the unofficial lead of the fighter squadrons. So the fact that Okita wanted to track the source of the signal to find out the location of Gamulus means that they don't know that Gamulus and Iskander are side by side, and that they are effectively on their way to Gamulus as well. The editor's note mentioned a joke theory presented in an issue of Out magazine from 1977. Well, I hunted it down, and the Q&A is done with Analyzer. And here's the questions that were asked. The skin color of the Gamulus was the same as Earth people through episode 10. Then it changed to blue in episode 11. Why is that? Says, you know what? I'm not going to butcher these people's names. The listings always says the person's name and where they're from. People ask this. I'm not going to screw up their names for no reason. Answer. In humans, iron is a constituent element in the blood, which gives them a red pigment. In Gamulus people, that constituent element is copper, which produces a blue blood cell. But the question was, why did the skin color change during the story? What you didn't see was the space warp Yamato made between episodes 10 and 11, which went wrong, and jumped the ship into a parallel universe where Gamulus have blue skin. Another theory has it that the Gamulus initially turned pale when they saw Yamato approaching. Well, I guess that's why they called it a joke answer. It also covered the women sleeping thing that I talked about. That the translators talked about in a previous episode. In episode 10, we see many female crew members in addition to Yuki, but they are never seen again after that. Why? Answer, because Chief Yuki was so good at her job, there wasn't much left for the other women to do, so they went into the sleep tubes. Besides, being around over 100 full-blooded males and one very male robot was not safe for them. Men who voyage to other worlds often dream of starting new civilizations. I could go on, but this is not a men's magazine. So, yeah, they went with a very sexist and offensive route with that one. Also doesn't paint the men of the ship in a very good light if, Analyzer is implying this shit. And one more that answers a couple of things that I brought up in a previous note. While in space, Yamato's crew wear helmets. In episode 3, Captain Okita stands with Kodai and Shima in the barrel of the wave motion gun, fully exposed to the radioactive pollution of Earth. Are they nuts? Answer. The purpose of a helmet is to match the pressure and atmosphere of a planet, and to keep out toxins, including radioactivity. Yamato functions the same way, with an atmospheric pressure barrier in certain openings. This is why Kodai could stand in the hangar with the hatch open in episode 4. The system is only breached when the hull is damaged in an attack. By the way, there was an air shield set up in episode 3 to allow for maintenance access. The blowing wind was caused by the difference in atmospheric pressure. I mean, it's dumb, but I appreciate that they tried to backtrace and explain it, and they just like, it's a fucking show, stop asking questions. I prefer that somebody was like reading messages from people and was like, oh yeah, so I appreciate the work at the very least. And what I was talking about with my notes about the timeline, I have it on November 27th as Yamato leaves the solar system, sends final message back home at 315 days left. And then last episode, December 1st, Yamato gets past a gammaless minefield at the edge of the system, 311 days left. So that is where we are at. That said, though, that is all of my notes. That was the board. I think that's everything. So let's go ahead and hop on in and see No Way Out, Hopeful and Hellish Stars of Orion.
But before we get started,
make sure that you hit the like button,
hit that subscribe button,
comment down below to feed that algorithm.
On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this, unfiltered,
uncensored,
and uncut,
as well as some early access stuff,
you can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
Again, I know I might be in the minority when it comes to this stuff, but there is a certain degree of burnout, I feel like, when it comes to some shows' openings. And I think that might be an aspect only due to the modern era of anime. I was watching Magia Report, which is itself a side story of Madoka Magica, earlier this morning. It's like the first show that we do reactions to in our live recordings. And I just realized, and we're like the 4th episode of that it is a changing opening show. Things changed in episode 4's opening that weren't there in episode 3. And I commented all previously how much I loved when the show 86 did it. When a character died, they disappeared from one part of the opening and they appeared in a different part of the opening. I'm just saying, essentially, I've been spoiled to openings of shows, or, shows that have openings that change every so often. So when we go further back in time and those kind of things aren't established or even tried yet, I can the same opening again. Also, the element of the recap opening. I think the first time I actually got that was either Mobile Suit Gundam or SDF Macross, which goes over the history of the show before, for like 2 to 3 minutes of every episode. I mean, I get the element of we need to make this viable for everybody who's showing up for maybe the first time. But as someone who's here for every episode, it's not for me. I know what's going on.
Yuki,
I couldn't tell. I've been there since the start of the show. It's like you were just looking out the window. I don't think you're phrasing that the right way. Legitimately, no one describes the star as being full of water.
ヤマトの航海の成功だろ。
いいえ、
じゃあ人類の未来。
全然違うわ。
なんだよ一体。
Tell about a conversation with your parents about how you need to have more kids. Solar winds or invisible barrier.
どうしたんです、機関長。機関長。どうもせんよ。なんだって言うんだ。なんですか。速力が半分に落ちてるじゃないですか。
Also, why was there nobody in the pilot seat?
バカ言うな。エンジンはなんともないわい。お前さんの操縦ミスだろうが。冗談じゃないですよ、そんな。こっちは自動操縦だったんだ。
Was there nobody on the bridge? I don't think you just leave the Yamato on automatic with no one on the bridge. Okay. I thought since we were talking about a star a second ago, we were going to get hit by solar winds, but...
3分後には停止するわ。
そら偉いこった。艦長に報告しなきゃ。あれ
Or maybe, you know, charge up for a warp? Is he, like, sick?
じゃないか艦長は。何かあったら30秒で駆けつけろって普段うるさいくせに。
未確認飛行物体発見。
I mean, it doesn't seem like he just got like, knocked out of the chair. I don't know what's happening with that.
艦長、
10秒以内に確認せよ。は、はい。わかりました。ミサイルです。変速交代。メインエンジン全開。ゴースターン。
Is the barrier going to stop you from backing out of it? Yep, apparently it is. Maybe fire your anti-aircraft guns like you've done for every missile swarm so far.
何をしてるんですか、機関長。全然動かないじゃないですか。ガタガタ言うな。こっちはやることはやってるんだ。ミサイル第一波来ます。
I mean, weapons guy is sitting right next to you. Yeah, the engine guy wouldn't be turning the ship. Y'all gonna have a fist fight in a minute. Yeah, open fucking fire on the missiles. I always thought it was funny that me and Lessons got so confused in Legend of the Galactic Heroes when we saw missiles that did that kind of thing.
どうしても謝らなければいけないんでありますか、艦長。任務の遂行には沈着さが必要だ。冷静沈着な人間がバカ野郎などと言うか。謝れ。
Damn straight.
申し訳ありませんでした、艦長。許してください、徳川機関長。いや、分かればいいんだ。わしは気にしとらん。仲間じゃないか。機関長と航海長は下がってよろしいぞ。あ、徳川機関長、下がります。島航海長、下がります。
Yeah, in case anyone forgot your names.
古代。はい。誰が迎撃ミサイルを発射せよと言った？
いけなかったのでありますか？
当然だ。
しかし艦長、自分がミサイルを撃ったからこそ、
Yeah, why?
ヤマトは今こうして
What? What's the argument here?
結果を言っているのではない。私は秩序を言っているのだ。貴様は命令なしにミサイルを撃った。違うか？
はあ、それはその通りでありますが。
you'd rather the ship get destroyed? Also, what the fuck is it with the 1970s and people on ships slapping other people? Is Okada not gonna make it to the end of the show? Also, again, lashing out at Kodai is just the same as Shima lashing out at the engineer.
お見事な作戦ですそうとヤマトは完全に気力バリアのネットに虜になりましたバリアに触れれば近くの惑星基地からミサイルが狙い撃ちするので不活に動けないと思いますそうだそこで私の次の手だ
Oh, I thought he was gonna drink it. This looks like a gas version of those creatures that were on Pluto. Apparently it doesn't need glass.
見たかね諸君今のがヤマトの運命だ
So we're gonna make Okada retroactively right. Shouldn't be. Give himself an opening to not be right.
ちょっとした思いつきで作ったガスだがお役に立てて嬉しい同じものがオリオン座の戦線で私の指示を待っているどうやらその時間が来たようだな
He's got hammer pants. By retroactively right, what I mean is the element that we've gone through all this fuss of follow my orders no matter what. Thus causing the environment where it would seem like the best method would be to shoot the missiles, and Kodai is going to hold back no matter what.
気をつけてくださいよ艦長ありがとうもう治ったと思っていた激しい戦闘だったそうですな冥王星の海戦は古代の兄さんもそこで亡くなられたんだろう
Well, thanks for bringing that up.
あこれは悪いこと言ってしまったな。いやすまん
Also, are we implying that he's been like this for like 6 months?
はいお大事にあそや艦長一つ言い忘れておりましたわ。
Arasaki? See, I can never tell when the doctor's gonna be serious. I thought this was a joke moment.
地球を出発する時のあなたの検査データを見ました。浴びるくらい酔ってはいても、佐渡酒造目は曇ってはいませんぞ。入院してください。入院することはできん。艦長。私には船を動かす責任がある。だが現に今日ミサイル発射の指令が遅れたんでしょうが。
See? That's the problem. And he tried to slap Kodai for actually doing the right thing. I'm starting to think that Okita is not going to make it to the end of the show. But I legit do not know which character would take his place as captain. Like, maybe Kodai? Maybe that's what they're doing with this? They're implying Shima is just too emotional for it. I would think Chief Engineer, actually, but... That seemed like an unnecessary addition to the ship. cool slides to the bridge. To be fair, amongst cool alien enemy attacks, matter-eating gas cloud doesn't get a lot of use. It's pretty cool. Plus, I like the fact that they were kind of coming at them with like 3 different major things at once.
10時の方向へ全速前進。はい。10時の方向へ。
This is essentially an attack from Star Trek, the original series, mixed with an attack from Farscape, mixed with a normal sci-fi missile attack thing. I guess he heard the name once and just decided, yeah, I'm going to refer to him by name from now on, instead of the ship. Was Dessler dying too? Evade the flames. At a reduced speed. Well, I guess the barrier is not going all the way into the star. Yeah, who is, I don't think we ever covered who the secondary officer would be. You know, like a first officer, technically. Yeah, also, I don't think you have that authority. Like, you can say the captain's unfit, but I would just go to whoever the second is, and that's the question I had before. Again, I assume they're following that old sci-fi trope where, you know, the ship's doctor can deem the captain unfit for command. Legitimately, though, I don't think there's a first officer on this ship. Which I guess means it would either fall to, what's her name, or who would win in an argument between Shima and Kodai. Also, not for nothing, these are their spacesuits, which means what the fuck were they wearing every time they went into Jupiter, Pluto, or whatever.
現在船の外は2500度、艦内400度。あと1時間だ。頑張れ。必ず通り抜けるんだ。機関長、徳川機関長。
I guess all those animals they have in the hold are
アル
fucked.
ファ船の引力圏に引きずり込まれます。何？引力がどうした？声が小さくてわからん。エンジン出力が落ちています。分かった。早くしてください。エンジンチェックだ。急ぎ、しっかりしろ。これくらいの暑さがなんだ。サウナ風呂に入ったことがないのか。ただいまアルファ船から30万キロの近接点。コロナによるランチは随所にあり。
I guess the gas cloud doesn't care about heat. But then again, if it doesn't care about heat, couldn't it just eat the sun? No, never mind, just instantly wrong. That's not a... I don't think that fits. It's not poison and poison, it's fire. And life? I don't know. Ooh, I like that. That's a good shot. The fire? You're shooting a solar flare, essentially. But what's the point? Also, isn't this energy they could have charged the engines with and just jumped out of here? I mean, I've got, like, no commentary on this. I don't know how the hell that would work. Yeah, because I would say there would be so much shit right behind it. Like, spitting into a wildfire, I don't think it would do anything. Yes, I've already called on you. And not for nothing, nobody else fired another missile the entire episode. To be fair, you sent him a message last time. It's hard to understand what you do and do not want. You should probably know that well before you ever got into space. I mean, you don't even have to make a wish if it's analyzer. You two have not been established to be any sort of relationship. This isn't the sort of thing I don't think you could just introduce like this. I don't know, maybe they have. I think they've established analyzer more than this.
しかし地球に緑の蘇る日はいつか。急げヤマトよイスカンダルへ。ガミラスの優勢爆弾による放射能汚染のため、人類絶滅の日まであと300と8日。
Okay, so that took 3 days.
300と8日しかないのだ。
The element that I think this show is like a little over 40 episodes, or at least this season. I don't know. I don't know how we're counting this. The first run of Space Battleship Yamato, I think, is something like 40 episodes. Just like 3 days apiece. We can make this easy. Yamato is trapped by Dessler at the Alpha Orion 980 to 1,500 light years from Earth. Originally, Dr. Sato's assistant was a chubby woman, and the voice was supposed to be done by Eiko Kiyozumi. However, the female crew was limited to Yuki after episode 11. In the manga version, it was the Beta of Orion. Strictly speaking, the large pillar of Corona is called a prominence. There are 308 days left for the extinction of mankind, which means it was December 23rd. That isn't right. Sorry, I may not have read that right. That may have gone by the screen too fast. Because as I said, it should be December... Well, I've already closed it. It was December 1st, my last count, and my last count wasn't that far off of the last translator note. I guess this is just the title card at the end again for some reason. We haven't gotten that before. Yeah, my last count wasn't off. And that was like 3 or 4 episodes ago. And the number hasn't changed by that much. Maybe they were saying December 3rd, but even that would be wrong. It should be like December 4th? Either way, like I said, I didn't have the time to count that right, or read that out fully. But I usually bring those translator notes up. The ones that have an effect on the show, not the ones that are like background information and whatnot. When I do the notes. So I will go back over everything that was said there. Mostly that was just the why aren't there any women on the ship anymore note. But the element that they might be saying that the time is wrong, I disagree with. Or not saying that the time is... I feel like they're indicating my time is wrong, but obviously they came first, right? They're not responding to me. I'm responding to them. Well, either way, I think this is a pretty good episode. This would have been like a great Star Trek episode, let alone Space Battleship Yamato. But then again, this Star Trek came out in the 60s. I was going to say Yamato came out first. It didn't. But again, I don't remember any episode of TOS that was like this, so this was pretty damn good in itself. Well, I don't really have much to talk about here. It's pretty straightforward. This is like one thread at a time until, the cloud wound up in the sun. They never fired missiles again, so thank God we covered the whole don't fire until I tell you to fire thing. Either way, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up this episode here. I'll come back with the notes about the episode. More importantly, those translator bits that I didn't have time to read fully. So until then, once again, I have been Theta. This has been Stoneface Reactions, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?